Welcome to our series on the life of one of the most notorious serial killers in American history, Ted Bundy. In this first episode, we'll be taking a closer look at his early life and upbringing, exploring the events and circumstances that shaped the person he became. From his childhood and family background, to his college years and first relationships, we'll be uncovering the roots of Ted Bundy's dark and twisted journey. So sit back, relax, and join me as we delve into the beginning of the life of Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, born as Theodore Robert Cowell, was brought into the world on November 24, 1946 by Eleanor Louise Cowell, also known as Louise, at the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers in Burlington, Vermont. The identity of his biological father remains a mystery. His birth certificate lists Lloyd Marshall, a salesman and U.S. Air Force veteran, as his father, but another copy lists his father as unknown. According to Louise, she had an encounter with a war veteran named Jack Worthington, who left her when she became pregnant. Records show that several men named John Worthington and Lloyd Marshall lived close to Louise during the time of Bundy's conception. Some members of the family have speculated that Louise's father, Samuel Cowell, who was known for his abusive behavior, could have been Bundy's father. However, there is no solid evidence to support this theory. In the documentary film, Crazy, Not Insane, psychiatrist Dorothy Ottnow Lewis claims to have obtained a sample of Bundy's blood for DNA testing, which confirmed that he was not a result of incest. For the first 3 years of his life, Ted Bundy was raised as the son of his maternal grandparents, Samuel Knecht Cowell and Eleanor Miriam Cowell, in their Philadelphia home. This was done to avoid the social stigma associated with having a child outside of wedlock at the time. Ted, as well as friends and family, was led to believe that his grandparents were his parents, and that his mother was his sister. Although the truth was eventually uncovered, the circumstances surrounding this discovery are unclear. Ted told a girlfriend that he found out after a cousin showed him his birth certificate, while he told biographers that he discovered the truth himself. Ann Rule, a biographer and true crime writer who knew Bundy personally, wrote that he only found out about his real parentage in 1969 when he located his original birth record in Vermont. Bundy held a lifelong resentment toward his mother for never talking to him about his father and for leaving him to find out the truth on his own. Ted Bundy's childhood showed early signs of disturbing behavior. His aunt, Julia, remembered waking up to find herself surrounded by kitchen knives with a smiling 3-year-old Ted standing nearby. A childhood neighbor, Sandy Holt, described him as a bully who relished in terrorizing people and exerting power through causing pain and fear. Bundy's upbringing was marked with conflicting accounts of his grandparents. In some interviews, he spoke fondly of them, but in others, he painted a much darker picture. According to him and other family members, his grandfather was a cruel man who was abusive and showed bigotry towards others. However, some local residents remembered Samuel Cowell as a kind and eccentric person, leading to the possibility that the negative portrayal may have arisen to explain why his grandson became a serial killer. On the other hand, Bundy's grandmother was described as timid and obedient, undergoing therapy for depression. Despite this, some family members stated that she was not mentally ill, but rather confined to her home due to a stroke caused by being overweight. In 1950, Eleanor Louise Cowell changed her surname to Nelson and moved to Tacoma, Washington with young Ted, following the encouragement of her cousins, Alan and Jane Scott. It was there she met Johnny Culpepper Bundy, a hospital cook, at an adult singles event at the local First Methodist Church. They got married later that year, and Johnny formally adopted Ted. The couple went on to have 4 children together, but despite Johnny's efforts to bond with Ted through family activities like camping trips, Ted remained emotionally distant from him. According to a girlfriend of Ted's, he would often complain about Johnny, saying that he wasn't his real father, wasn't very intelligent, and didn't earn a lot of money. Bundy's recollection of his teenage years in Tacoma varied throughout his life. In interviews with Michaud and Ainsworth, he admitted to rummaging through trash cans in search of images of naked women. However, he told attorney Polly Nelson that he was drawn to true crime documentaries, novels and magazines that featured stories of sexual violence, especially when they were accompanied by pictures of women who were dead or injured. Despite these admissions, he wrote to Ann Rule that he never read detective magazines and was repulsed by the thought. According to Michaud, Bundy also confessed to consuming large amounts of alcohol and wandering around the neighborhood at night in search of open windows where he could spy on women as they undressed. Bundy's high school years were marked by a lack of social interaction and frequent behavioral issues. According to his own account, he felt isolated and unsure about forming meaningful relationships with his peers. He told journalists Michaud and Ainsworth that he was unsure about the dynamics of friendship and felt at a loss in social situations. Despite this, classmates from Woodrow Wilson High School remembered Bundy as a well-known and well-liked student, who was a part of the popular crowd. However, their perceptions contrast with his own experiences of feeling isolated and lacking social skills. Bundy was an avid skier, often hitting the slopes with stolen equipment and fake lift tickets. Despite his love for the sport, he had a troubled teenage years as he was caught and arrested twice for burglary and car theft during his high school years. However, as per the standard procedure in Washington and many other states, these incidents were erased from his record once he turned 18. After completing high school in 1965, Bundy enrolled at the University of Puget Sound, UPS, for a year before switching to the University of Washington, UW, to study Chinese. In 1967, he entered into a romantic relationship with a fellow UW student, Diane Edwards, who is commonly referred to by several pseudonyms, including Stephanie Brooks. During early 1968, Bundy withdrew from college and took on a series of low-paying jobs. He also offered his services as a volunteer at the Seattle office for Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign, and became the driver and bodyguard for Arthur Fletcher during his campaign for lieutenant governor of Washington. In 1968, after attending the Republican National Convention in Miami as a delegate for Nelson Rockefeller, Bundy's relationship with his girlfriend, Diane Edwards, came to an end. Edwards was frustrated with Bundy's lack of ambition and immaturity and left for California. This event was later considered a crucial turning point in Bundy's development by psychiatrist Dorothy Ottenow Lewis. The breakup devastated Bundy and he took a trip to Colorado and then to other states, including Arkansas and Philadelphia, to visit relatives and even enroll in Temple University for one semester. It's believed that during this time in early 1969, Bundy also confirmed his true parentage by visiting the birth records office in Burlington. In 1969, Elizabeth Klopfer, a single mother working as a secretary at the University of Washington School of Medicine in Ogden, Utah, met Ted Bundy. Despite his eventual arrest in 1976, their relationship continued for several years, with Bundy even taking on the role of a father figure for Elizabeth's young daughter, Molly. Tragically, as an adult, Molly revealed that she suffered abuse at the hands of Bundy starting from the age of 7. Despite these shocking revelations, Bundy remained a part of Molly's life until she was 10, when he was finally arrested and brought to justice for his crimes. In the 1970s, Bundy became a focused and ambitious individual. He re-enrolled at the University of Washington as a psychology major and quickly became an honor student, earning high praise from his professors. In 1971, he took a job at Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center, where he worked alongside Ann Rule, a former Seattle police officer and aspiring crime writer. Rule was impressed by Bundy's demeanor, describing him as kind, caring, and empathetic. Little did she know that she would later write one of the most comprehensive biographies about the infamous serial killer in her book, The Stranger Beside Me. Despite his accomplishments, rumors about Bundy's dark side began to circulate in the political circles. Accounts of his fetish for women's clothing, as well as rumors of him being involved in several cases of missing and murdered young women, started to emerge. Despite the rumors, no evidence could be found to connect him to the crimes, and Bundy continued to advance in his political and academic careers. In the summer of 1973, Bundy rekindled his relationship with Diane Edwards during a trip to California for Republican Party business. Edwards was impressed with Bundy's transformation into a driven and dedicated professional, with a bright future in law and politics. Despite dating Edwards, Bundy also kept up his relationship with Elizabeth Klopfer, without either woman being aware of the other. In the fall of 1973, Bundy enrolled in the University of Puget Sound Law School and continued to pursue his relationship with Edwards, even discussing marriage and introducing her to Ross Davis as his fiancé. In early 1974, after abruptly ending his relationship with Edwards without explanation, Bundy stopped attending classes at law school and started skipping classes. The disappearance of young women in the Pacific Northwest also started around this time. He later claimed that he broke off all contact with Edwards because he just wanted to prove to himself that he could have married her, but Edwards believed that it was a deliberate and planned move as revenge for ending their relationship in 1968. That's it for part 1 of our series on the life of Ted Bundy. We've learned so much about his background and upbringing, and it's amazing to see how it has shaped who he became. In part 2, we'll dive into the heinous crimes committed by Ted Bundy and take a closer look at the events that led to his arrest and eventual conviction. I can't wait to share that with you all, so stay tuned and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.